Hello guys and welcome back to the Motor Recon podcast. I'm your host Adam. I'm joined again today by Rob. It's going to be a bit of a strange one today because obviously with the coronavirus currently kicking off around the world, there isn't much in terms of car news. However, what we are going to look at is something very big that did happen this week in the motoring world, which we'll come on to in a sec. And then we're going to look at some Formula One things and topics, but we'll bring them up as we come along. So first on the list is the Aston Martin Valkyrie has now started road testing.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you that don't know, the Aston Martin Valkyrie is going to be like Aston Martin's flagship hypercar. We're talking sort of multi-million pounds, basically an LMP1 car for the road in essence. With 1,160 horsepower and a 6.5 litre V12 revving out to 11,100 RPM.
It's quite old school in a lot of ways. Obviously, it does have hybrid technology in it, but the way that it's sort of producing that 1,100 horsepower that 1,160 horsepower is quite a old way of doing it, I guess.
Yes, but what Aston Martin done, this is a very clever way they've done this. So they've got the best in the business at everything, brought them all together, just to create the ultimate car. So they've got the designs by Red Bull, Adrian Newey, arguably one of the best in the business in terms of aero design.
Yeah, he's made some legendary cars.
Been in his office in the F1 factory, very proud moment in my life. They've obviously got the engine is from Cosworth, as far as I'm aware, so one of the best engine builders in the business, and the electric system from Rimac, again, probably one of the market leaders in terms of actual electric technology. If you ignore Teslas and stuff like that, they are leaps and bounds ahead. Which I think they've done everything right. They've got all the right people in the right room, and I think this car genuinely probably will be one of the fastest cars around the track anyway.
Oh, one of the fastest
produced.
road legal cars around the track ever. Yeah. It is fascinating how this compared to the new Koenigsegg Gemera, because obviously the power on them is what's the power on the Gemera?
Oh, what is it? 1,800 or something. It's a lot more than this, I think.
And that's the thing that's interesting. Obviously, it's a lot heavier than this, and it's a different car and a different remit. But whereas this car develops its monstrous power through a 6.5 litre V12 that revs out massively, the Gemera's got nothing more than a 2 litre inline 3 and a lot of hybrid tech to push
I do
it
respect Aston Martin for this because it's probably going to be the one last chance as they get to actually build something like this.
The only thing, obviously, this car was originally designed to race in the new hypercar spec at Le Mans. I had heard rumours that that's obviously been postponed now.
I don't even think it's a rumour for Aston Martin. I think they have actually come out and said that it will not compete in that.
That's a shame because it's sort of like it's designed to do that. So it would be a real shame to not let it.
Well, I'll tell you what might happen because while they've said it, I think. Because was it due to start this year, the hypercar?
Yeah, but they pushed it back.
Because obviously I'm pretty sure Le Mans won't happen this year anyway.
Yeah, they pushed that back till September.
Okay.
So there is a chance for that.
Because I even think, I know it might not worth it, but because they've got the AMR version of Valkyrie, which is even more it's track only rather than road legal.
Yeah.
And that's obviously, that is essentially a racing car.
Yeah.
They could just chuck that on and just see how it does.
The thing about it is it was designed for those new regulations, and when they come in, even if you just let customer teams run it, so you're not taking the huge brunt of the financial burden of running it, you've gone to the effort and all of the monstrous expense of building it. Just let it have its day in the sun.
Yeah, because
you know what I mean.
I think it would do well, and I think it'd do wonders for the brand. I mean,
exactly. You've gone to all of this monstrous effort to build something that is so focused and purely bred to race. Just finish the job. I mean,
I know.
You know,
obviously on the road. Is it useful as a road car? Definitely not, but obviously people are going to buy it. I think chances are most of these may end up in collections rather than actually being used, which is a massive shame.
Although I will say this will likely become an absolute staple of the Goodwood Hill climb.
Oh yeah,
this will become
this will probably go up the hill rather fast.
It certainly won't beat the record because that VWID is. You saw that go up the hill. That's borderline unbeatable.
Yeah, the aero's very different. But the AMR one could stand a chance because it's got more power, I think, hasn't it?
But the ID has the advantage of being electric, and over a hill climb, that's like the perfect situation.
This has the Rimac electric stuff in it as well.
Oh, I know, but I mean, as in that ID is literally just instant torque.
Well, it was specifically designed as a hill climb car.
It was designed for Pikes Peak, and they perfected it on Goodwood. You won't be beaten on that.
No,
I don't.
I don't think, to be honest.
Not for a very long time.
Not unless someone else designs another one specifically for it, which is unlikely because it's a bit of a waste of money, isn't it? But yeah, absolutely unbelievable car, the Valkyrie, and the pictures that have come out from it driving on the road.
Oh, it's bizarre, isn't it? Yeah.
It's weird to see. It does literally look like an LMP1 car.
It looks like it shouldn't be there on the road. It shouldn't have tax plates. I mean, I have no idea whether this is illegal in some countries. I'm sure it will be. In America, I doubt it's legal.
Do you know what? I don't know. I think they have managed to get it homologated.
For America?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Well, obviously it'll ruin the looks, because if you look at any car that goes from Europe to America, they ruin it with that silly big bumpers put on the back. Which customers just take them off, so you might as well not bother.
One of the worst offenders for that was the MG Midget. I think it's like it's the MG Midget Mark III or something.
They had to raise the headlights, didn't they? So they put basically solid blocks in the suspension to raise it.
There's also these big, thick plastic bumpers off each end. It was like, jeez, it ruined the looks.
This is the thing that I don't get about America. Certain cars over here don't make it to there because of whatever reason. Sometimes it's emissions, sometimes it's that. But it's like, you allow your car manufacturers, let's face it, some of them are not as safe as European cars, even with them silly bumpers on. The emissions, definitely not.
No.
In most cases. So just allow them in. It just seems a really stupid...
Maybe the market's different. Maybe there genuinely isn't that sort of market demand for European-style cars. I mean, obviously, I've seen a lot of American fans say that they were quite upset that the Ford Fiesta ST couldn't make it over there.
Because the last one was.
But they say this one isn't, but maybe that is purely because there just isn't the demand for it over there.
Well, no, look, tiny, small hot hatches and that, well, hatchbacks in general, small hatchbacks do not sell in America.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, so maybe that's purely what it's not. It's market forces.
Well, they've just got the RS6 this time. I think it's the first time they've had an RS6, and they've been screaming for that for years. And that might sell well.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it will prove that there is an appetite for those sort of cars over there.
Well, until they stop making them soon.
Yeah.
So that's Valkyrie. Actually, unreal. I cannot wait to potentially see one of these on the road. I'm hoping I will. So far, touch wood, I've seen pretty much every hypercar you can name on the road at some point.
This will be my hypercar pick for Goodwood.
Oh, yeah.
This is my car I want to see most in the hypercar section, without a doubt.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I've seen the AMR one. I've seen the normal Valkyrie concept versions.
I want to see it running.
Yeah, I want to see it moving.
I want to see it move.
Yeah. They had that at Goodwood. We saw it at Geneva, didn't we, when they launched it? Okay. The next one we're going to come on to, because this, as most of you are well aware, most of the Formula 1 races this year have either been postponed, cancelled, or delayed for whatever, well, for the coronavirus, not for whatever reason, but because that is happening, and perfectly understandable, most sporting events are. I think F1 didn't want to be seen to be the only ones left doing stuff.
No, it makes perfect sense.
They can't really run it without a crowd. It's just, it wouldn't be the same.
In the interest of safety and obviously making sure that there is a contained approach to things, it's only right that these were cancelled. So.
Yeah, now I'm well aware we are not sat 2 metres apart right now, but I'm
still
pretty sure we are both not have it. So what Formula 1 are doing, which I think is a fantastic idea, is getting some of the drivers in. Not all of them, I don't think, are they, this week?
No, but they've got some famous faces in there.
Yeah, they've got some of the big name drivers, and what they're doing is they're basically doing the Formula 1 esports, but with actual F1 drivers.
Yeah.
Which, brilliant idea. And they're going to stream it on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook.
So again, it's removing that little bit of a paywall in. I think it's a unique way to approach dealing with the coronavirus. But what we were both discussing is this really raises the profile of esports in motorsport.
Yeah, because I strongly suspect the actual F1 drivers won't win.
No, it's obviously it's geared towards except for the F1 drivers who race in these a lot, like Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. These use these games constantly, so I imagine they'll do very well. But yeah, because obviously there's been an F1 esports series running alongside the actual season for quite a while now, and it produces some fantastic racing.
Yeah,
this will really help raise the profile of this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it could become the new thing. Like,
yeah,
you never know. Because I've watched a lot of games on YouTube for quite a while, like streamed games and things like that, and it was always fascinated me. But I've never actually watched the F1 esports. But now they've actually got some big names in it. I think it will draw me in. I'll definitely be watching tonight's after it's happened, unfortunately. But
the only downside I think to this is because obviously the one this weekend at the very least is a 50% length race, so 28 laps. I would like to see a full race distance.
I think they will. I think what this was just doing is just testing the water.
Yeah.
Just obviously it's the first one they've properly done, so I'm obviously testing the equipment, making sure all that
Yeah.
Sort
I'd
of
like
stacks up and
because we were both saying this. We would say the one we'd like to see virtually most of all is Le Mans, and we would like to see like a virtual version of the full 24 hours of Le Mans.
yeah. Well,
So
that's one thing.
Drivers virtually swapping over.
I think that's one thing that we might have to do in the future, because I'm trying to get a racing sim set up at the moment. Once I've fully moved into my new house. So once we've done that, I think me and you should actually have a go at doing a proper stint race, and we'd obviously record it for this.
We would like to see a Le Mans. Obviously, I've seen sort of 24-hour races anyway, because Jimmy Broadbent, he does sort of ones for charity where they do it. So it is technically possible.
Well, the 24-hour sim racing, that it does exist.
It's a proper league.
Yeah, the Simply Racing that we go to in Milton Keynes, that does actually have a 24-hour sort of race setup. You have obviously multiple drivers and you set up and you have a few beers and whatnot as they go in, but I think it'd be quality fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I'd enjoy to see that. Okay, now, again, with all this kicking off and F1 not happening, obviously it's a bit of a sad thing for the car world. Most of the races, even like the motor shows, are all being cancelled left, right and centre, or postponed until later on in the year until we know a little bit more. But what we've noticed is obviously some of the channels that normally air it in the UK at least are now going back through the Formula 1 back catalogue and starting to air some of the previous races. So obviously last night they did, was it 2016 Brazil race last night they aired on TV. So,
and that's a classic.
Yeah. So we thought it'd be a good idea to go through and have a look at some of the races from history that we might not have even necessarily been able to watch live, but we're aware of them and seen clips on YouTube, that we would like to see them air again now for us.
I would say for some of these, because quite a lot of people would have watched these maybe when they were younger, but for guys like us, for some of our picks, we weren't even alive when some of these were taking place, and I'd like the opportunity to watch them properly. So so I'd say the first one that we've picked out of the back catalogue to potentially replace the British Grand Prix on the TV that weekend.
Yeah, they could do it actually.
They could do it, so it would be nice, I think, to do it at that time. So F1, obviously, I think it would be lovely, which is the 2008 British Grand Prix. It's a classic, an all-time classic. Essentially, Lewis Hamilton won in the rain. It was obviously in his early years, in his first championship winning season.
Yeah, when he was racing for McLaren, wasn't he? So
it was a cracker. So obviously the podium for that one was Lewis first, Nick Heidfeld in the BMW Sauber second, and Rubens Barrichello for Honda in third.
Yeah, so this is before Honda pulled out in the crash, wasn't it, as well? Yeah.
So obviously this is before 2000. This is a year before Honda became Braun GP and all of that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a brilliant race. I don't want to go into too much detail about these races because F1 may well choose to air these, and I don't want to spoil them for people.
No, I fully understand that.
So obviously I've told you the lineup, but I haven't told you exactly beat by beat how it all went down.
No, but I do think it's a good idea that they should do this, and there's some of the races that we've got on this list I actually do really, really want to watch.
Yeah.
I remember I watched that one live, but again,
we were quite young back then as well.
Yeah, so it was quite a while ago, obviously, wasn't it? So the next one we're looking at, again, this is going back some now. So the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, so at Spa as well, which I was alive at this point. I don't quite remember 1998. I do, but some things I'm just a bit fuzzy on.
I have watched this before. Obviously, I wasn't around really to be watching F1 at this time, but I have watched it, obviously, in subsequent years. It's a classic because it's Damon Hill's final victory.
Yeah.
And it's Jordan's only 1-2. And obviously, it also features possibly the worst pile-up in F1 history.
Yeah, one of the worst crashes.
David Coulthard kicked that off by accident, so I think it was a mistake by David, and then it all just snowballed into a massive mess.
Yeah, now if you haven't seen this, or obviously you're not old enough to remember the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, I'd urge you to go and watch that crash on YouTube. So just type it in, Belgian Grand Prix 1998 crash.
It's spectacular.
It is absolutely spectacular. So if you haven't seen it, definitely would recommend you going over and searching for that.
There is a famous moment in all of this. It's from Damon Hill. So obviously he's leading the race and Ralph is closing in on him hard. And Damon gets on the radio to the Jordan teams and he says, if we race, I can't guarantee both of our cars are going to finish.
Yeah.
So he basically came onto the radio and was like, if you let us race, I may step up. There may be some contact here and we may lose everything.
Yeah, so don't let
So,
us really.
so I think they ended up enforcing team orders and they came home in the 1-2, which for Jordan, I don't blame Eddie for choosing to hold your position. We're coming home with a 1-2.
It's rather bring it home than not bring anything home.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a very interesting race. I think another key moment from that is Coulthard potentially. No, it's Schumacher ploughing into the back of Coulthard, so in the spray, and he goes down to the McLaren garage to have it out with Coulthard.
Oh, I know. I've seen
So
the
he's
video of that.
storming
Storming
down. So definitely want to watch that. So,
that would actually be quality if they could re-air that one.
So at the Spa weekend, please, if anyone from F1's listening to me, please
just go and do
just
it.
do this one.
Yeah, so that's again another cracking one. I think we should definitely get to see. So the next one, again, a 2008 Italian Grand Prix, so at Monza. Not my favourite track, Monza, not going to lie. I know everyone loves it for the history and things that have happened there, but I think it's a very boring circuit.
A lot of straights.
Yeah, very, very boring circuit for me.
2008 was a cracking year for F1 in general, hence why a few of our picks were on here from 2008. But obviously this is Sebastian Vettel's maiden victory. I think that made him the youngest driver to ever win an F1 race, at that point. He'd won it with a Toro Rosso, so not the most competitive car in the world. Brilliant. It's just a wonderful way, and obviously Toro Rosso's an Italian-based team, so it's really, really good to see. I like that race.
So German winning in Italy in an Italian car.
Yeah, it was a great race though.
That's what they want. Yeah. Next one, the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. Now again, I actually quite like the Canada track.
I like, again, quite a
track.
straighty one, but I think the setting's very picturesque.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know what it is. It's just the setting. The track itself, obviously, just but
but obviously the Wall of Champions. It's got some history to it.
Yeah, taking some of the big names out. Corners. Yeah.
2011 was an especially good year for the Canadian Grand Prix. Famously, Jenson Button came from last place to winning it.
Yeah, which unreal.
In itself makes it worth a watch. Interchangeable wet to sort of drying out conditions.
Well, that was always his speciality, wasn't it? But he could race very well in the wet.
Well, I think he could read the weather quite well. I think that was what...
To be honest, he is British. He's used to he's used to the bad weather.
I think he had quite a knack for it. But famously, I think it was Mark Webber went offline or something. One of the... it was the closing sort of laps of the race. One of the Red Bulls went onto the wet bit of the track and he just led him through to win it, and it was like a great race. So I'm hoping that'll get aired at some point as well.
He overtook everybody, didn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, he literally overtook everyone who's left.
I know. I was always a big fan of Button. He wasn't the best driver in the world. Don't get me wrong, but obviously a Brit and being a fan of,
but also as a bloke,
the British driver. Yeah, it was a really nice bloke.
It seems like a decent bloke.
So always a big fan, and also obviously in the McLaren as well, which
it was good.
Yeah, so a British guy in a British car. Canada, you could argue in some ways, was a bit British.
It was good. Well, French Canada is Montreal, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Or is that Quebec?
No, Quebec is as well, I think. Isn't it?
It doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah. Anyway, if we get into geography, that's a whole nother ball game. Rocky, Bahrain, 2014. I do actually remember this one.
It's a corker.
It is a corker.
You know it's a corker when it gets a name. The Jewel in the Desert. You say the Jewel in the Desert, you know exactly what this is. It's Bahrain 2014. An almighty battle between Hamilton and Rosberg. One for the ages.
Yeah, absolutely unreal. But to be fair, credit to them both.
Kept it clean.
They did keep it clean. Obviously, both on the same team as well, so there's probably someone screaming in their ear telling them to keep it clean. But again, racing's racing, isn't it? Stuff happens.
It got close. They kept it clean. Both of them raced very well, and it was a fantastic. Especially considering in 2014 the Mercs were so far ahead of the field. Like, I think by Bahrain even they knew that the championship would be one of them. It's just who.
It was in the bag.
It was one of the Mercs, and hence why the racing was extremely fierce. And it was brilliant. And
it just happens to turn out that Hamilton won. I think that does, again, nothing against Rosberg. I think Hamilton is a slightly better driver. Well, not slightly, he is a better driver. He handles better under pressure. But they did definitely, that time, they showed that they could both pull it out the bag when they needed to.
I think it showed that both of them were quality F1 drivers, and it's probably one of the best races I've seen.
Again, Bahrain, not a bad circuit.
No, I quite enjoy it, actually.
Not a bad circuit at all. So a lot better than Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrendous. Okay, not one I remember personally, but the 2012 Spanish Grand Prix.
Love this one. Pastor Maldonado won it in a Williams.
Yeah, that is always a surprise. But in this day and age,
you just want to watch it. I mean, obviously, Hamilton qualified on pole, but he was excluded due to technical infringement, so he gave Pastor Maldonado the pole. But credit to Maldonado, he held off Fernando Alonso the entire way. To do that. And
as well, obviously being Alonso's home race.
Alonso's in a Ferrari as well.
Yeah, he probably wanted to win that quite badly.
Yeah. Pastor, I give him credit on that. I mean, he's obviously become a very meme-worthy driver for his antics over the years.
What has he possibly done to deserve that?
But on that day, the man was literally unbeatable.
Yeah, he pulled it out the bag, did extremely well.
Yeah, so as you say, not really much more to say about that other than I just really want to watch it again.
The one funny thing, though, fastest lap, Roman Grosjean.
Yeah, no, he was fast with Lotus, Grosjean.
Yeah,
he was very fast with Lotus.
Yeah,
I think he got some podiums with him, so yeah.
And that is a miracle.
Okay. Obviously, close second to that was the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix.
Yeah, this one I just do remember.
I'm hoping they don't pick it up because they're showing the 2016 Brazilian Grand Prix at the moment. So maybe ones from different seasons would be quite nice if they're going to wear them. But this was a good one because obviously Verstappen won for his maiden drive with Red Bull. I mean, you can't get a more perfect start.
No, welcome to Red Bull and you've won.
Yeah, welcome to Red Bull. Here's the silverware.
Yeah,
and that's because Hamilton and Rosberg took each other off on I think it was like the fourth corner or something.
Yeah, they did.
And I remember one of them threw their steering wheel out. It was
out of pure
frustration. Yeah.
And the one thing I would say, the Spanish Grand Prix, especially the circuit, Catalonia, it's not a bad circuit. I like racing it on games. I think it's good to drive.
It's been criticised for being quite difficult to overtake. There, apparently,
really?
Yeah, it's been criticised as a track where it's quite difficult to actually make overtakes stick.
I suppose in some ways it's very narrow.
And also the straights are long, but not long enough to make your overtakes stick. I think that's what it is. So either way, this was a good one though. So that's close second.
Okay, now a real classic.
Yes, a Monaco.
So this is older than both of us.
Oh yeah.
1992 Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Monaco has its ups and downs. It gets a lot of criticising for being boring, just a procession, because, like I say, it's very, very difficult to overtake at Monaco. Probably the hardest track to overtake on, arguably.
Yeah, without question. I think that's a safe bet to say, really.
Yeah, but it always has that prestige.
Yeah.
Monaco draws the crowds. It draws, obviously, thousands of people from across the world, and it's probably one of the highest viewed races along with the British Grand Prix.
And I think it shows in the drivers potentially, because I think if I was a driver, I'd be willing to take more risks, because to win it is probably one of the biggest. Well, it is. Yeah. It's the most prestigious race to win out of the lot.
Yeah,
It's worth the risk.
Yeah, just go for it.
It's worth the risk, I think. 1992 is a famous one, so I won't go into it into too much detail. Essentially, what happened was 92, the Williams were dominant. They had a suspension system that was just like space age.
Yeah, for the time.
So they crushed it. Even to this day, it's banned.
Really?
Yeah, like it was a phenomenal bit of kit they developed. I think it was self-leveling suspension, which was ran off a computer. But either way, it was genius.
And it's been out banned.
So it got outright banned the season after. They just banned it. Either way. So Mansell was leading by over 30 seconds. He suspected he had a puncture, so he came into the pits. And then Ayrton Senna inherited the lead. And the real race was sort of 3 laps of just Ayrton just holding him off.
Yeah. And this was the point, because when Mansell came out of the pits, he was 7 seconds behind.
Yeah.
Brought that back within
no time.
Put him a few corners and he was back on the back of Senna. Unfortunately, because it was Monaco, which is a hard circuit to overtake, and it was Senna.
And I might add, the cars were very wide back in those days as well.
They were. I know it gets a lot. I know Senna's always goes down in history as like one of the legends of driving. Personally, I don't think he was that good, but I think he was very, very overrated. He just had the personality to go with it. probably a controversial thing to say there. But that win, I don't think, was deserved in the sense that he actually didn't win it on merit. He only won it by pure luck, which I know winning's winning, but...
No, I think it is an example. It's one of the greatest defensive drives of all time, though.
That's
I think that's the key,
in.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So, that's very much on my list.
Yeah, I'd actually want to watch that just to see the full...
Yeah, just see how it all unfolded.
How it all kicked off. Okay, so the next one, the 2006 Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring.
Yeah. So I like this one because obviously it's Jenson Button's first win, and he'd waited for so long for it, and it was I really, really do like this one, actually. It was a nice thing to see.
Yeah.
Actually, because he'd obviously gone so long without winning at all, and it's just such a nice way to show it. I'd say I can't actually remember all that much about the race, to be honest.
It was a long time ago, to be fair.
It looks like it was a fairly mixed up race, though, because looking at the podium, it was Jenson Button followed by Pedro de la Rosa for McLaren,
and then Nick
Heidfeld. So it looks like it's quite a mixed up field, to be honest.
Yeah, but nice to see a Brit on top again. And again, big fan of Button. So
I think, because we both like him. So.
And that was when he was in Honda as well.
Yeah.
Which argued at that point their cars weren't.
They weren't championship material.
No, they weren't. No. Which is good. Again, I love the Hungaroring. The only racetrack I've been to live to watch F1.
Yeah.
Hungaroring. It's a brilliant circuit.
Yeah, it is a nice little circuit. I do like Hungaroring, actually. Azerbaijan, what I was going to say is, obviously it's not been knocking about for that many years, but despite that, it has produced some legendary races. So it's an inducive to a fun race.
Yeah.
And we've picked out 2017. Many people will have seen this because it's not that far.
Yeah, it's only 3 years ago.
So there's no point going into it. But it's mainly because obviously Lance Stroll managed to get a podium, which is very impressive.
In a Williams as well.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also when you consider Williams were more competitive in 2017, but still.
Yeah, still, yeah.
And obviously Ricardo won it, and Ricardo's a nice bloke. So
yeah, he's firmly one of the nice, happiest, smiliest guys you'll see, isn't he?
Yeah. Again,
circuit-wise, though, Azerbaijan, what do you think?
I quite like it. I think it's a mix of fast and technical, so it forces them to put a compromise on the car.
Yeah, that extremely tight little...
They have. That's the
building.
thing. It's got some technical sections to it, but it's also got one of the longest straights on the calendar. So it's a question of what do you do? Do you go for straight line speed or do you go...
or aerodynamics?
So it forces them to compromise. So it's good to see.
Nice to see, especially in a city circuit. It's not often you get that, is it?
Yeah, true.
Okay, very old one.
Yeah, but definitely one of the ones for the year. Now, Japanese Grand Prix, there are many, many, many to choose from. Obviously Senna and Prost taking each other out for the championship twice
as you do
on 2 successive years, so there's plenty to choose from, but we've gone for the 1976 Japanese Grand Prix at Fuji, mainly because if you've seen Rush, then you know exactly why you want to watch this race, because the championship decider, obviously Hunt won it by a single point. Lauda pulled over the car, refused to race anymore. Fair play to him. He'd been in a horrific accident earlier in the year because of the rain. I don't blame him in the slightest.
No, probably having a bit of post-stress after that other one.
Don't blame him in the slightest. So, it's a good, but as you said, it's a cracker, and it's something I've never actually seen from start to finish. So if they could air it, that'd be good.
Yeah, I don't think the full race is available anywhere, is it? From that
I've just never seen it start to finish.
No. But Mario Andretti, he won it, followed by Patrick Depailler. I can't pronounce that. And then James Hunt came in at third. But it's interesting, every single one of them was all Ford powered. So Lotus Ford, Tyrrell Ford, McLaren Ford, all with Cosworth engines.
Cosworth were very big in the game back then, and if you weren't powered by a Ferrari, it was essentially Ford who really...
Yeah, it's a shame they didn't keep that up.
Ford aren't even in it anymore, are they?
No, which is a shame. And then the final one we're just going to look at is the Brazilian Grand Prix from 2008 again. So another good year, but another good race.
Yeah. And obviously, famously, it's from, is that Glock going slow? It is, that's Glock. You know, I mean, obviously, Massa did everything to win the championship at that race. He won it. I mean, he physically couldn't have done more to seal the championship on that race. He was very unfortunate, and it's so dramatic.
It was his home race as well, so that probably spurred him on a little bit.
You cannot script this, though.
No.
It's unbelievable. So I'm glad they chose 2016 as well, because I enjoyed 2016. But when we get round to when the Brazilian Grand Prix is meant to be on this year, hopefully it'll still be able to run because it's at the very back end of the calendar. So hopefully,
hopefully be sorted by then.
Hopefully, but if not, stick on 2008.
Yeah, crack that on as a really good race for everybody to watch. I think I really do think F1 should do something like this. It is good to see the channels obviously going through some of the back catalogue.
But this was F1 doing it. They stream it on YouTube,
yeah. Which, again, it's a fantastic idea. I do not blame them because they'll want to keep their brand at the forefront of people's minds while it's not currently happening. So this is definitely a way to do it. And I think going through some of their back catalogue and putting some of the classics on that, maybe even letting people vote which ones they wanted to see.
But they've done that in the past. They did a vote a few years back where everyone voted their favourite through history. And then they talked about it. Well, why don't you do it again? But this time, the favourite one, we will actually show it from start to finish on YouTube.
And do it in order. Like you, I don't know, vote for loads of different races, and then every week, in order, which one's won?
But I would coincide it with when the races are due to take place.
Yeah.
So when the British Grand Prix was due to be on this summer, stick on 2008.
Yeah, no, that could definitely work. I think that'd be a good idea. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Anyone from Formula One, if you are listening, please do it.
Yeah.
Just do it for our sake and probably a few other petrol heads around the world.
I know plenty of people in quarantine would die to do this. The 2016 rerun has been received so well.
Yeah.
That keep it up.
Yeah, keep it up. Keep the races coming on YouTube at least weekly. And obviously we'll keep watching. But again, this will be it for today's episode. If you do want us to discuss any topics, let us know by any of the social media links in the description, and we'll do that for you. But if not, we will see you next week for another episode.
See you in a bit.
See you later. Bye-bye.